Mother, man.
Hi, this is Kelvin from Shadowspawn. You're listening to Murder Metal Mayhem. Yeah!
Spreading faster than a case of the clap in a trailer court. Able to shatter eardrums within a 666-mile radius. A podcast more brutal than all the rest. It's Murder Metal Mayhem! Warning! Warning! Trigger alert! Trigger alert! Warning! Trigger alert! Warning! 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 Trigger alert! Warning! This is Pete Altieri with the Murder Metal Mayhem podcast, and I'm joined by my co-host Shane Borchuk, and we've got the privilege to do this interview with Kelvin Dam, the bass player for the death thrash metal band from Denmark, Shadowspawn. How's it going, Kelvin? And what's the weather like there in Denmark? Is it as bad as everybody in Denmark says it is?
Thank you. And hi, guys. Yeah, almost now. It's actually plus degrees now, so all the snow is melting. But we had a few weeks where all the traffic just stood still.
Wow. I did look at my weather app, and it showed it was warmer there than it is here. We're getting ready to go into like a 3-4 day deep freeze, and it's going to be awful. Ooh. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
No. Same with us here, 30 below. So yeah,
that's right. Yeah, he's in Canada, so we got three countries. We got three countries here doing this today, which is totally cool. Makes the internet has got some negative things and all that, but technology certainly enables us to do this. So that's awesome.
Definitely.
Well, Kelvin, I'm Shane, and I've been a big fan of you guys for a while now. We actually did an episode of 666 Seconds of Metal on your new 2023 release, Blasphemica. Is it Blasphemica or Blasphemica, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. I think it's the local accent who decides.
Alrighty, it was one of my favorite albums of the year, anyways, and this great stuff. Has the album been received by metal media good? And how are your fans? What's the feedback from the album like?
Yeah, we are blown away. We have. I don't think we've ever gotten so much good and nice feedback, positive words, and good reviews, and. We didn't see that coming. We are super stoked.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always awesome to get that kind of good feedback. You guys definitely deserve it, for sure. That album is just killer.
Thank you.
But Shane was the one that turned me on to you guys, and we both really dig the death thrash stuff. But I'm wondering, it seems like there's been a lot of death thrash here lately, and I wonder if you have seen that as well, and if you think there's some sort of reason for that kind of rise in that subgenre of metal.
Yeah, well, I think that last couple of years it's been like a fashion, so to speak, within the metal environment, at least here in Denmark, that black metal was very hyped. Everyone should listen to black metal and like folk metal and stuff. And then I think with bands, at least in Denmark and maybe Scandinavia, like Based and Michael Paulson's As in Hell and good bands like that, maybe pushed or brought good old death metal back in the saddle, so to speak. So I think we can feel that old school death metal is like on the rise again.
That's awesome.
Having a renaissance. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, that's my favorite genre too. And that As in Hell album was great. And
definitely.
Yeah. I see you used to play guitar in the band, but you switched to bass in 2020. How did that come about? Was that a difficult transition for you?
No, yeah. Well, me and Nikolai and our old vocalist, we started the band back in 2012, I think. And I played guitar then. and I still play guitar, but I don't play guitar when we rehearse and when we play live. But some of our tracks also on Blasphemica is actually me playing guitar also.
Yeah, okay.
So so I played guitar always in the band. And then in 2017, I think, I couldn't get music and work life and family and kids and all that to like work together. So I quit the band, and then for like half a year or so, I wasn't in it, and I got replaced, and things moved on, and things happened in Shadowspawn, and some turmoil. I think people left Shadowspawn, and the rest of the band, as it is now, decided to get some good musicians. And when they couldn't do that, they called me again. But at that point, the bass spot was vacant. And I was like, well, I always plays bass also when we record and stuff like that. You know, I have a bass, my guitar here, and bass over there. So using those two instruments when I sit at home and jam and compose and stuff like that. So so it actually wasn't that a big change for me. I mean, there's a lot of you can be much more what do you say, on the spot when you play bass. You can be more in energetic on stage because you don't have to focus and hit all the notes and be like all tied up, and you gotta play this 100% correct. You do so have to also on bass, but you can be more like relaxed and stuff. And it suited me quite well. I was ready to give it a go, and I missed playing with the guys, and I missed playing music all in all. So short story, I left and came back just to play bass, and I actually found myself enjoying playing bass really much.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
so
worked out good.
You left the dark side and came to the bass player side, because I told you I used to play. I don't play so much anymore. I have a medical condition that messes with my hands really bad, so it's hard for me to play. And I quit playing in 2016. But I did tell you I wanted to bass geek out a little bit with you. But I wanted to ask you, because Shane and I have been talking about this in a couple different of our episodes about bass in death metal. And it seems like a lot of the death metal I've listened to over the years, the bass is really low in the mix. It's hard to pick out. But the bands that have the bass up in the mix, like Bolt Thrower would be a great example, or Cannibal Corpse, kind of sets them apart from the rest. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a very good observation. And so I think you have to be a bit of a sound. I was going to say geek, but I mean as a sound connoisseur. Because, the first couple of records that we did, I actually we recorded ourselves, and I mixed and produced them. So I've been working a lot with all kinds of aspects of the the sound overall. And I think that's what happens sometimes, is that people don't have a good clean bass tone. So when they don't have that and they turn up the bass, then the bass muddies all the bottom of the mix. The lower frequencies get all muddy and blurry, and just sounds like the hum. And I think the key is that you have a good clean bottom of the bass, and you have in the mid range of the frequency and to the high, you have a good clanky sound, that good bass where you can hear the strings almost. And I think that for some bands and maybe producers, I don't know, but for some bands, if they don't go for it, I mean, if they don't know this, or if they don't like that sound, then the bass will just remain at the bottom, and you can't hear it as something. You cannot tell the difference from the bass, or the bass doesn't get significant. That's what I'm trying to say. So so in order to get the bass where Bolt Thrower, us, many other bands, where you can actually hear the bass, you have to distinguish your bass sound to be in the mix and not just be at the bottom. So
That's a really good point. I've seen death metal bands play without a bass player. And I'm just like, seriously, like, wait a minute, like, wouldn't this sound so much better with a bass player in the mix, But like you said, then it gets so muddy because those guitar tones in death metal are real bassy.
Yeah.
So I think all that bass, like you said, just gets to be a muddied mess. And yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. Good way of looking at it.
I try to keep like my in my mind, like, you have to have some bass accompanying the kick drum, and you have to have some bass just below the guitars to make that clanky, that significant tone.
No, I agree. And you're right. You guys your tone cuts big time. It sounds killer, and it sounds good. It just does.
Yeah,
Thanks.
It sounds great. Yeah.
Thanks.
So we got to talk a bit about the Danish metal scene here. It seems like recently there's just been a ton of bands coming out of Denmark that are, just amazing. What's the metal scene like there? Is it thriving, or is it just, the internet phenomena where we all just hear more stuff now?
Yeah, well, it's thriving big time in Denmark.
Oh. Very good.
There's actually been too many small metal festivals all over the country. So sadly, some of them had to cancel because there simply weren't coming people enough. Because every other weekend there will be a new festival, and people have to save up money and decide which one to go. So they pick the ones with the biggest band, or maybe the cheapest tickets. I don't know. But there are 8 to 10 metal festivals all around the year here in Denmark. And so, Copenhagen, for instance, is a very big one, a huge one. Metallica played, and so there are, the metal scene is really thriving in Denmark. Lots of small festivals, lots of venues. So a lot of cool new bands coming up. So it's very interesting to be in, and very exciting.
Yeah, I've interviewed Hatesphere. I've interviewed Chronicle, fantastic band. And my roots in Denmark go all the way back to the 80s when I started listening to Merciful Fate.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember when I joined the Merciful Fate Coven, and I got an envelope at my mom and dad's house from Denmark. And I was so excited because I knew what it was. So I've been a fan of Danish metal, but Shane's right. I mean, there's been so much good stuff coming out of Denmark. But back to the bass player thing for a second. What kind of gear are you using to create that tone? And I know you and I talked a little bit about Dark Glass products when we first communicated with each other. And for anybody listening that's not familiar with what we're talking about, it's a pedal. They've expanded to other things now, but it's an effect pedal, but it just transforms your sound. I mean, it's very distinctive, and I hear a lot of bass players using those now, but what kind of stuff are you using, Kelvin, to create the sound that you've got?
Yeah, so when we play live and when we rehearse, etc., I have Ashdown cabinets. But from there, I have Dark Glass equipment. I use the Dark Glass 900 V2 amp. Just not the distortion in it, but just to get that, a good sound. And also it's very, small form factor and easy to bring when we play live. And then at the center of the best piece of my equipment is the Dark Glass B7K.
That's what I've got.
Yeah. And with that pedal, you have the opportunity to get that excellent blend of a good clean sound at the bottom, and you can have that distortion at the mid-range and top. But not only that, the distortion of the bass itself, the way it distorts the sound you can get from that pedal is super crispy. And I mean, those pedals are made for metal, right? So so that's the sound. That's the core of the sound is that B7K, and then I have a Warwick bass.
That's right.
Chord.
That's right. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, definitely nice stuff, and you can hear it. It just sounds good.
Yeah, definitely. I should mention also that it's not just our sound, of course. Tua Madsen from Anfarm Studios, who recorded and mixed and mastered our album. He of course, at 90% of the sound and the high fives and respect for that should go to him, because I mean he's the man in
Right.
Denmark when we need something done.
Oh yeah, I've heard that name many times.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool. I love the bass line in that last track, Thrive in Sadness. That just carries the whole song. That's great.
That's wicked.
Very
Thank you.
catchy.
Thanks.
So what label are you guys on, and how has that relationship been for the band? Has it held you back in any way, or has it helped you out? Or
Oh, it has not only helped us out, it has done a lot for us. We are on a label called Emancipation Productions, which is a Danish label, but it's not just a label, it's also a bar. It's
oh, really?
a lot of cool people making festivals in Denmark, who actually works at the label also, and the owner, a cool guy called Michael, who is also playing in some Danish death metal bands. He's very good at promoting and getting us out there and helping us get to festivals and all that. So our label is extremely cool and very helpful.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah,
We are happy to be there and work with them, definitely.
Yeah, that's really good, because I've seen bands, I've been in one where the label just killed the band. They just stall on releases and they never put it out, and the band can't really do anything. I mean, it can be ugly, so it's nice to hear a story where the label really helps the band out. That's a good thing. Yeah. Now, I love to ask bands this question because we get turned on to so much good metal. And before I forget, Shane, I know you've noticed his Entombed shirt that he's
wearing. You betcha. That's pretty cool.
Scoring big points with the cool shirt. But what kind of bands are you listening to, Kelvin, that maybe our listeners don't know about, whether it be Danish bands or any bands for that matter?
Well, I am an old school guy, so this record comes on regularly.
Right.
But yeah. So all the old school, Ball Thrower, Morbid Angel, Entombed, Grave. You know all the bands, Atheist and all. I mean, I listen to them regularly. Recently, and of new bands, there's our old singer is actually playing in a Danish-Swedish band called Psychomania, and they are putting out a second album. I've listened to some of their upcoming stuff. Sounds really good, really, really good. And so what's new? The As in Hell record, of course.
Yeah, As in Hell is amazing.
Yeah, that just fits right in with Entombed and all the others. Yeah. So
what about some of the younger? I know you're an older guy, so am I. Shane's only a couple of years younger than me, but what about some of the newer stuff like Schizophrenia out of Belgium? I mean, those guys are wicked, and they've really kind of come on strong. But any bands, newer bands that you're following at all? The up and coming, anything like that?
I would love to be more on, what do you say, up on the beat to follow those new bands. And I think, playing yourself and I'm just not that good at sitting down and follow up on all these new. So if not, someone comes to me like you just recommended, Schizophrenia out of Belgium, I'll check that out. But if not, someone comes to me and say, "Hey, you should listen to this," and here these are great. I'm not that good at seeking them out myself.
Sure.
So but it's not like I don't want to. Not at all. I love discovering new music. It's just I'm not. I don't have Spotify and all those to suggest me stuff.
Right.
So I'm old school, I have a car with a CD player.
I got one too.
And, when you're not, often I'm at work or driving to work, that's where, I hear music. So It has to be something, that's presented to me somehow.
Sure.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I get it.
I see you're in another project too called Bloodborne Machine, and playing guitar and doing some vocals with that. And what's the latest with that?
Yeah, well, yeah. So the break I told you guys about, where I wasn't in Shadowspawn for like half a year, that's actually Bloodborne Machine was a project I did with some of the guys from Shadowspawn, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we did 4 tracks, I think, which just are on YouTube, and since I got back to Shadowspawn, we just agreed that it's a side project and it's just standing there. It's not active.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, it's a placeholder for maybe we'll get some crazy ideas that doesn't fit Shadowspawn one day, but it could be cool to just release. We'll record it and then it can go into Bloodborne Machine, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
It's just lying there. So, but it's funny you should mention it, because we still get emails, and so all of a sudden someone finds us on Facebook and starts following us, and yeah,
it's neat
so
how that works.
We don't have the urge, or how do you say it? We don't have the need to close it, but it's just it's a dormant dog just lying there.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
It's an option.
Yeah.
Now we've been asking bands this question, and it'll be interesting. Now we got an old schooler here with us today, Shane. But what was your first heavy metal concert, and did that inspire you to want to start playing?
And it's very funny you should mention Merciful Fate earlier, because
you're gonna
very first concert.
No, you're gonna kill me with
Diamond.
this.
Was King Diamond on the Merciful, or the Conspiracy tour in was that 88 or 89, around there, I think, in Copenhagen. And I was like, I was just a kid, and all these grown-up men, and there was darkness and heavy metal. And I was super stoked to be there, and that was my very first metal concert. And
Right.
I don't think I got the urge or the desire to play myself at that point, but it didn't come. I bought my first guitar when I was still living home with my parents, so it must have been around that period anyway.
Well, I got you beat on King Diamond. I thought you were going to kill me with some like Don't Break the Oath or Melissa tour or something like that. But I saw him on his first U.S. date as King Diamond. So right after he left Merciful Fate, his very first tour date in the United States, when they toured as King Diamond, I was there at that show. So that was great. That was the first time I'd ever seen him. Seen him a few times since. My son and I turned my son onto him, and he digs it. And I know my first metal concert was in 1983, Iron Maiden on the Peace of Mind tour, which was just amazing. Yeah. And I had just started playing bass, so getting to see Steve Harris. Oh yeah. In a big environment with the big production. I mean, it was just blew my mind.
Yeah. Definitely. Talk about a bass that cuts through the mix.
Definitely. Definitely. And then Shane, what about you? Your first concert?
Well, I really didn't have much exposure to concerts when I was young. I was living in an isolated area, but my first exposure to like heavy metal shows was actually the shirt you're wearing there. I got to see Entombed at a dive bar, and Napalm Death and Voivod, seen them all at bars. So that was pretty cool. Nice and intimate with Entombed. It was very cool, very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've had the fortune. I didn't know LG from Entombed, not at all, but I met him several times, and he was always very open to say hi and share a beer. And actually, one time at Copenhagen, me and my buddy, we went to like a lounge area there is at Copenhagen, and LG from Entombed was sitting there. Cool. And we sat over and said hi and shared a beer, and we were just talking. And then my friend, he had sore feet from walking around all day in big shoes. And so he took his shoes off and sat, rubbing his feet. And LG said, "Oh, give that to me." And he sat there.
Wow.
The singer, the original singer, man, LG, that's him. That's God. That's God. And he's rubbing my friend's foot and I was just like, baffled.
Yeah, strange, very strange.
That's hilarious. That would
He
be kind
was
of
a
weird.
very cool and forthcoming person, definitely.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. So I got to ask you a little bit about the samples that you guys got in there. I see you have some Richard Dawkins in there. I was like, hey, I know this voice. I'm a fan of Richard Dawkins. Watched a lot of the videos on YouTube and stuff, and so that was cool. It's the strong anti-religion theme to the album, of course, which is not subtle at all, to say the least. And so not really much of a question here. It's more of a, I see what you did there with the samples. And so if you wanted to make a comment on Richard Dawkins or anything, I see you have a quote from The Omen in there as well in the intro. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So to address it backwards, so to speak, the Omen quote was actually just because it sounded evil and fitted in.
Mm-hmm.
And quite made a good. It not just fitted in, but it made a good translation from the first part to the second part, and they kind of like accompanied each other good. And the Richard Dawkins part, definitely, as you mentioned, the record is without saying too much, like pretty anti. Or what should I say? Critical to religion. What can one say that? I think. Yeah. So it's not a church-going album. Definitely.
No. The album title gives it away right there.
We don't hate Christians, or not at all, or any other religion for that matter. It's just like our lyrical focus and our theme, so to speak, is like, stand up for yourself, think for yourself, don't let religion like control your life or anything else for that matter.
Right.
And Richard Dawkins really just fit that bill because, of course, the main focus is like this. This may be one of the father figures for like all this bullshit about strong religion, right?
Right.
Yeah, it fits really good.
Yeah, it does. So what's next, Kelvin, for you guys? You got any tours coming up or new writing you guys are working on? Anything you wanted to talk about that's coming up for the band?
Yeah, actually, we already have 4 or 5 new tracks we're working on. And as per our usual process, out of those, 1 or 2 maybe something interesting that'll come be on something later. We are definitely working on our next album already.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because we're on a roll. So the train is going, and there's a very, very good vibe in the band, and so we're moving on.
Right,
fantastic.
Proceeding.
Good to hear.
And so we don't have a tour per se, but we have 7 or 8 concerts lined up during the coming months here in Denmark. Okay. And there we have been contacted about some possible touring, maybe something in Germany. So but nothing solid. And
awesome.
So if you know any interesting venues or bookers over at your guys, please let us know.
Okay.
We have our passports in order.
There you go.
Right on.
That would be killer.
It would be a dream come true to come and play in the US.
Yeah, that would be cool for sure.
Yeah. So we got kind of a fun question now. We like to ask this question to bands. If you had to pick one person to get totally annihilated in a Shadowspawn mosh pit, would it be A, Justin Bieber, B, David Draymond from Disturbed, or C, Kim Kardashian, and why?
So Justin Bieber wouldn't fit the age, right, to come into a Shadowspawn concert. I don't think they allow 7 years old in. So,
he's an adult now.
I actually like some of the Disturbed music. So it would be Kim Kardashian.
Okay. All right. Very good. I always love it with the bands that don't speak really good English because they don't know whether I'm kidding with them or not. It's like, no, it's a real question. I want you to answer the question. So, and they're like, you crazy Americans. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you asking me something.
I actually think it's very good humor.
I try to have a little fun with it. Anything else you want to add, Kelvin? Anything we didn't talk about? We're going to link to your guys' website and all that, Bandcamp, in the episode description. So whether you're watching or listening, scroll on down and I'll provide all those links so you guys can buy some merch, support what these guys are doing. But anything, Kelvin, you wanted to add before we part ways?
Nothing more that I really appreciate you guys taking the time to this. This is a great honor, and I think it's awesome that you do it. And we and I, on behalf of the rest of Shadowspawn, just want to say that it has been a very great pleasure, and I hope that my English didn't fumble too much.
No, your English was impressive. No, you did great. You did great.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Kelvin. Thanks for doing the interview with us. We really appreciate your time, and you're always welcome to come back on and talk with us with anything about the band, your new album, or anything like that. And we're gonna close out this interview with a song, just so our listeners that aren't familiar can get a taste of it. And I really dig the track "Bonesong" from your new album, Blasphemica. So, is there any cool meaning behind this song or anything?
It's actually a two-piece where the song, where Bonesong and the song "Color Me Dead" are actually written as one, and then we split them up because we had the riffs and stuff to make two songs. And it's actually so the lyrics are about one-sided mind of a man, very selfish in life, and then he dies, and in his coffin, which is his domain, his grave, then whenever people come near it, he has brought that selfishness with him. So that's like, figuratively speaking, it's very like an abstract lyric. It can certainly resemble or mean anything else, but the main idea behind that song was like, you're buried or someone is buried, and within that casket, the mind is still selfish. So that's, I don't know if it's a cool lyric.
That's super
cool. Yeah, that's badass.
Deep in the sense that it's buried, right?
I like that. All right. Well, we're going to crank it up.
So that's,
we'll crank it up and let these guys check it out.
Some religious undertones to it,
Right on. Let's crank that up, Pete. Let's get that in some ear holes and listen to some killer metal here. Horns fucking high, guys.
Horns high, Kelvin.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day or evening, or I can't recall what time at your, what's the time at your place?
Day right now, yeah.
Early afternoon.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next time, Kelvin.
Definitely.
Right on. Have a good one.
You too, guys. Take care.
Ya. All right.
I am the wicked unknown to be satisfied. Come and dine with me. I serve the meat of the god where there is no more life. I'll season your belief. I rest alone this way and see you fall. The Bonesong calls to me.
Spider-Man.